It's a phenomenal privilege to be learning here, and one of the chavra mentioned that it's a testament to the strength of the chabura that people vote. Per morning is like the most difficult time. All of us had a late night. All of us had very few hours of sleep. But we're back, and we're up, and we're here to, Be'ezras Hashem, carry on Rebbe Nachman's Purim lesson, which, like Reb Guy was saying, how can you not? How can we not? It's such a clear sign from Hashem that this is what we're supposed to be doing now. So we're doing it, and we're taking that sign from Hashem, which is literally what Purim is all about, and the Megillah, and that hidden energy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence behind the curtain, but He's here. He's here. The Svarim says, Esther Manatar Minayin is Hastir Astir, but there's an Anoichi that's Hastir Astir. That Anoichi, which is the highest revelation that there is, it's the revelation of Keser. It's the first of the 10 commandments. Just be very careful at the table, it shakes very much. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mamish here, and He's hidden, but it is not hiding Him. He is hidden within, and so we're feeling that, and we feel privileged to be doing this. And what a schos. So thank you to everybody for joining us, whether you're here in person or on the call. Ashreinu Matayv Chakenu. Let's jump into Torah Yud, and we started the paragraph that begins on the left-hand side of the page on Yud Gimel Amud Beis. Amar Mordechai ve'Esther, Mordechai ve'Esther, and we were learning about this nekuda of the ruach of the tzaddik, and how that causes for there to be a ha'aras or hisgalus, yadayim or raglayim, and the cleansing of the hands and the feet from gaiva. And Rebbe Nachman had a whole tapestry of different psukim to build this construct around the yadayim, where there's a bechina of hands that are not hands of holiness. We have feet that are hands of gaiva, al tvi'ini regal gaiva. And that the Rebbe is describing through dancing and through clapping, which is the bechina of the simcha of the heart that draws on the ruach of the tzaddik, that causes for a person to feel humble, and that breaks all the klippas, and that breaks all of the shells and the experience of arrogance. Through that, a person is able to come to true simcha, a person is able to dance, and dancing and clapping brings about the fixing of the avodah zarah, of the gaiva, right? It is a manifestation of the way in which that person has gotten out of that experience of a heaviness, the kvedos, the afar, the ego, the gravitational pull of self, and a person breaks out from that, and literally, we say break out into dancing. They break out of the klipa. They break into dancing, right? And they break out of what they were stuck in. And the Rebbe said that ultimately comes from the Torah, because we know that the tzaddikim are drawing their ruach from the Torah Kedosha, like we had learned in Torah Ches. And the Rebbe says the Torah also has hands and feet. It's the bechina of nigla and nister. The hands are nigla, the feet are nister. And the beis and the lamed of the first word in the Torah and the last word in the Torah, Bereshis, Bara Elikim and Le'enei Kol Yisrael, spells lave, and that's the lave of the Torah and the Yadayim and the Raglayim, and that's where the tzaddik is drawing that energy to be able to then go ahead and give people the capacity to dance and to clap, mamish, both spiritually and physically. Now, says the Rebbe, this used to be the aspect of Mordechai, of Moshe Rabbeinu rather. Moshe Rabbeinu had this capacity to counteract Amalek. Moshe Rabbeinu was winning the battle against Amalek with his hands and with his feet, but it was all Moshe. Or it was Moshe and Yeshua in a certain other aspect, because we learned already in Torah Vav that Moshe Rabbeinu is the Nekuda Elyoina and Yeshua is the Nekuda Tachtoina, and both of them have their different Geulah that they're using to counteract the force of Amalek, which is the force of arrogance, which causes people issues, both in the Bechina of Aliyah and in the Bechina of Yerida, because the challenge of Aliyah is going to be that a person falls into the mindset of complacency, which is arrogance, right? And that's what we're counteracting with the Hasaga of Ayim Ekoim Kavaydai, or the Bechina of Ratzai, telling a person, Emesak Shemaim Sham'ata, you may have risen to the heavens, but Sham'ata, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is still distant from you. And on the flip side, which we're going to learn is much more prevalent, we're going to see in a minute, is the aspect of not gaiva, but the opposite of such shiflus, where a person feels stuck and they give up hope, right? And that's the bechina of falling into the aspect of Yerida, and the tzaddik is battling Amalek over there with the aspect of shoiv, to know that wherever you fell and whatever you're stuck in, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you, and in Iviatzia Sha'al, as the pasuk continues, right? Hineka, You don't have to go anywhere. Hashem is already in that place. And that's the tzaddiks battling Amalek above and Amalek below, with Moshe Rabbeinu above, that's the Bechin of the Likutei Moharan of the Hasaga of Ratzai, and Yeshua below is fighting Amalek, Yeshua Amalek Lefi Charef, which is fighting Amalek down in the valley. And this is the aspect, without getting into the whole thing now, because it's off the page and we'd like to stay on the page, but just very briefly, Amalek is Gematria Suffolk, as we know, and that means that there's a Suffolk Lamala, meaning there's a Suffolk of whether I can keep on going, and there's a Suffolk Lamata of whether I can go at all, right? And that's whether I can get off the floor or whether I can move past the ceiling. This is the aspect of Amalek, and this is the Nakuda. This is the Nakuda of Amalek Gematria 240. 240 is Gematria both Rum and Mar. Alright, so rum is the aspect of Amalek that's fighting a person above, which is why we counteract Amalek with drinking a lot of rum on Purim, of course, right? So there you go. So rum is Lamala, right? And rum means Amalek rises up to battle a person who's doing well, who's in the Nakud Al Yaina. But also Mar, Amalek is battling people who are below, all the stragglers, and that's the Bechina of Lamata. Okay, so says the Rebbe, that was really Moshe Rabbeinu's inyan. And Moshe's Gematria Charoin Af, because he's counteracting the anger that's brought into the world through Avodah Zarah, which is no Avodah Zarah bigger than Gaiva. So Haman was so excited that the lottery fell in a month Shemes by Moshe. Why? Because he thought that this is perfect. This is exactly what I want to do. This is Amalek. But little did he know that Mordechai and Esther were the Bechina of Moshe Rabbeinu. They were the tzaddikim in that generation, the tzaddik and the tzaddikas. And in this context, because it's mamish true, Yeshua is also feminine in a sense, right? I mean, Yeshua is the Levana. The Levana is always a feminine energy, right? So Yeshua is probably not effeminate because he's down there, with a sword battling Amalek. I don't think, he went down there in a tutu or like a onesie. So Amalek, Yeshua is like mamish Gibar. But in a certain bechina, you understand Yeshua is the Levana. And so it only makes sense that over here in this context, it's like the full manifestation of the feminine, where Mordechai is the Shemesh, Moshe Rabbeinu, the Kud Al Yaina, and Yeshua is going to be the Bechina of Esther. Esther becomes the Gemara tells us, Istar, right, is the Lashon of the Levana. That's really her name. She's the moon, and she is the Nakuda. Tachtoina, says the Rebbe, this is Kimu v'Kiblu. Kimu v'Kiblu HaYehudim. Kimu is the tikkun of Raglayim, because a person stands strong on their feet, and that's the kiyum of a person to stand up. Lakum, right, is kiyum, lakum, as the person stands up. That's the aspect of the raglayim. And how does a person receive something? They accept it with their hands. That's kiblu. That's the tikkun of the yadayim. Unbelievable giluyim. And we carry on over here. We are up to Likutei Ha'aras Mordechai ve'Esther. Yeah? See where that is? Middle of the paragraph, a bunch of lines down, toward the middle of the sentence. Likutei Ha'aras Mordechai ve'Esther. What a total, unbelievable nace to be learning this on Purim. You can't make this stuff up. It's just tremendous. What a privilege. This is mamish where we're up to. It's just because this is where we're up to. Kehal. Unbelievable. Through Mordechai and Esther and their energy, which is the Yadayim and the Raglayim, the hands and the feet, all the Kfiras, all of the Klipas, all of the Gaiva is destroyed. And they, through their hands, yes, you see this word, but it doesn't mean through their hands, mamish, but al Yedayim, through them, Amunah is spreading in the world. As the pasuk says, Mordechai raised Adasa. But the word for raised in this context is Omen. Omen is Emunah, right? Because their whole relationship was a relationship of Emunah. Ubaksiv, and later on it says that Esther listened to the voice of Mordechai Kasher Haisa Ba'amna Itai, when she was raised by him. So over here, Vayehi Oimein Es Hadasa, that's a reference to Mordechai's Emunah. He raised Hadasa with Emunah, and over here Esther was raised with Emunah. So two psukim covering the Emunah aspect of both Mordechai and Esther. Kishneim hey mechinas emuna, both of them are the aspect of emuna. Ruach kanal, and that happens through the ruach, that both of them are tapped into that aspect of the lave. So he says, beautiful. If there's a ruach that's shining in this construct, that just like by Torah, you have the lave, the lamed, and the beis, and that causes nigla nister, which is yadayim raglayim, but it all comes through the ruach of the heart, like we learned in the Tikkun Zayar. That v'hai ruchana, sheb'shis pirkin the joy, and b'shis pirkin the shaykin, that it's the ruach of the lave that shines in the feet and shines in the hands. So we have to see ruach by the Megillah, because that's the nekuda of Mordechai and Esther kimu v'kiblu. Says the Rebbe, okay, no problem, coming right up. V'zebuchinas Esther beruach hakodesh nemar. Esther is beruach hakodesh. Now the Rebbe doesn't spell this out, but how does the Gemara know that Esther is written beruach hakodesh? Vayomer Haman Belibai. Esther beruach hakodesh, because the lave, it's the lamed and the beis of Bereshis bar Elikim and le'enei kol Yisrael. You can't make this stuff up. These two things are together: the lave and the ruach. Vayomer Haman Belibai ruach hakodesh. Haina bechinas libai nases raglav. This is the aspect of the feet that are the heart that are raising Yaakov Avinu's feet, like we had learned. Ki ikra akum taliba, and says the Heilige Rebbe that ultimately the most inyan of the avodas kechavim, the inyan of idol worship and klipa, of pushing Hashem out of our lives, doiche ragle hashchina, like we say, right, to push away the feet of the Shechina, is taliba in Esther. If everybody can mute on the chat, please, it'd be very, very appreciated. Ki ikra akum taliba, because this is the main thing of the Goyim, is of the avodas kechavim, is taliba, has to do with Esther shebechinas raglin, which is the bechina of the feet. Kemaisha Kasa, as the pasuk says in Mishlei, ragleha yardus maves. It is the feet, the feminine feet, that are yardus maves, that are sinking down below into the place of death. Her Pinchas, if you're able to mute, please. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Raglea yardus maves. So he says, V'alkein, therefore, ikr tikkun avodas alilim ayada. The primary inyan of avodas alilim is through Esther. And the fixing of the avodas alilim really is through Esther. So that's why it says Esther Baruch HaKadosh Nemra. Why doesn't it say Mordechai Baruch HaKadosh Nemra? Why wasn't it called Megillus Mordechai for that matter? And the answer is because we want to stress that in this experience of the Gaiva of the Adayim and the Raglayim, the place where it's the most prevalent is in the Raglayim. How did we learn it from the context of Torah Vav, where we're learning about this aspect of the Nekud Aliyah and Nekud Tachtoina, is that the challenge of the Nekud Aliyah, we said, Amalek Amatria Ram is the Bechina of growing complacent in a time of success. But the Nekud Tachtoina, which is, the Rebbe is saying, that's the Iker, that's much more relevant, is when a person is sinking down below, and a person is about to give up. And that's the Iker Avodas Kachavim is Tali in that. And that's also Bechina of Gaiva, because a person really believes in themselves so much that they think that their limitations are really their limitations. This is who I am, right? But it means that, what does it mean to despair? It means that I don't believe that Hashem could change my situation in a second. It's also a gaiva, it's a different kind of gaiva. We don't usually interpret it. But gaiva has two sides, right? Because we know today in psychology, every expression of gaiva, in a certain deep sense, if it's an unholy gaiva, it's not believe b'darkei Hashem, it's reflective of a very low self-confidence, a low self-esteem, right? It's just a mask. But that, right, because that means the person is just trying to get validation because there's a part in the person that's feeling very empty, right? And we've learned this sort of in the past. In Torah Ches, we're talking about the void and how to fill it and so on and so forth. But if you realize psychologically, it's one energy, it's both. There's gaiva above and there's gaiva below. What gaiva just means a lack of emunah. Gaiva means that a person believes, aniva afsi oid, this is what I am. And if I'm super amazing, I'm super amazing. And if I'm really terrible, I'm really terrible. But it's still gaiva. You understand? It's both. This is the Ram and the Mar. But according to Rebbe Nachman, the Iker battle of Amalek, like we just demonstrated in the Pasuk, that Amalek attacks those who are tired, and they woke up very early per morning. And Amalek is trying to drag us down all the time. The Iker is the Nekuta Tachtoina, there's the Bechina of Esther Baruch HaKodesh. It was all about Esther. Even though certainly it's true that the tikkun was also accomplished through Mordechai, since the primary avodah zara is tali in Esther, v'alkein al yada ikra tikkun, and through Esther comes the primary tikkun. Alkein nikras hamegillah al shem Esther. That's why it's going to be called Megillas Esther, because she's the main thing. And can you imagine how much chizuk Rebbe Nachman is taking from this? Because we said Rebbe Nachman is the Nukud al Yaina, Rebbe Nachman is a Nukud Tachtaina. Rebbe Nachman is basically telling Rebbe Nachman, you're the main thing. Your tikkun is the main thing. Like we said in Torah Vav, that was the beginning of Rebbe Nachman's writing Likutei Halachos. Rebbe Nachman sort of told Rebbe Nachman, this you say, right? Because it's the sun shining into the moon. It's the Rebbe empowering the Talmud. And that's really what's taking place over here. That's really what Rebbe Nachman is saying. That really Likutei Moharan is just in a certain sense hakdama to Likutei Halachos. Right? Hashem should bless us to learn for many long years. We'll finish Likutei Moharan and then we'll do Likutei Halachos. And you'll see, Likutei Halachos is really speaking to our generation directly. Just gonna. What's that?
We'll do it at the same time, so we'll work it out. Don't know if we can wait.
Yes, we'll have to find a way. Yuda, can I trouble you for something? The camera's about to die. There's an extension cord right there on the floor, and I'm going to bring the charger from the other room. Thank you so much, Yuda. The Kehal Yedidim charger. It's the regular. I mean, it's just an Android charger. Thank you. And that's the aspect of the Aras Yadayim Raglayim that are shining from this, that it's specifically called Megillas Esther. Go back a line. Esther. The focus is on Esther. Esther Baruch HaKodesh. Why Esther, not Mordechai? Because she's the Raglayim. And the inning of the Raglayim is the Bechina of the Mar of Amalek, right? Kamatra Amalek, that tries to attack the stragglers. And that's the Iker Tikkun. Ki Ruach B'Leiv. Because Ruach begins in the Leiv. Because Vayomer Hamon B'Libai. So to counteract that, we have the Ruach HaKodesh of a holy Leiv. Ve'al Yod and Nisgala, Aras Yadayim Raglayim. And through that is Nisgala, the Yadayim, the Raglayim, Rakeh Iker Tli B'Raglayim B'chinas Esther. But the main thing is rooted in Ragla Yardas Mavesh, Risham, Afilu B'chayim, Kriyam Mesim, the B'china of Nisa, the B'china of Amalek, the B'china of Kriris, the B'china of lifelessness, the B'china of pushing Hashem out of our life, is Mamish trying to destroy our neshama. Literally. Shkach, thank you so much. Just 1 second, you mind just plugging this in there? Over there. Yeah, just, right? That's the B'china of Esther. Thank you so much. Ah, unbelievable. That itself is a tikkun of Amalek. It was about to die. Ragla Yardis Maves. And we just infused it with that. We infused it with Emunah. Mamish. Unbelievable. Energy. Holy energy. Okay, and this, the Medrash tells us, an incredible Medrash, that when Haman came to get Mordechai, right, because Mordechai is going to be Kachias Alaish and paraded around the whole town, the whole city, and he comes to get him for his haircut. He was a barber, the whole thing, and he sees Mordechai sitting there, and he's learning the halachas of this school children of Aymer Sa'irim Daika. And Haman says to Mordechai, your Aymer Sa'irim is gonna win, right? Amalehem Aymer Sa'irim Ditchu Asu v'nitziach Aisav Ezbanav is gonna come and gonna become victorious over me and my children. What's the nakud of Aymer Sa'irim? Says the Rebbe, look deeper at the words Aymer and Sa'irim. Aymer is the bechinas Mordechai. Aymer is the aspect of Mordechai, because Aymer is Ayin Mar, is the letter 70, and the word Mar, right? And it's Ayin that spelled out as Aleph Yud Nun, which is the Bechina of an I. Mar is already Mar Jurar, right? Mar is Mordechai. We said Mar Jurar. Jurar is Lashon Cheres. V'krasa Jurar la'aretz. Jurar means freedom. Why do we need the word Charas? Cheres, because Cheres is Charas ala Luchais. That's the Bechina of Nicholas Hatayra that's written outright on the Ten Commandments, on the luchas. Don't read it that the luchas are carved, the Ten Commandments are carved onto the luchas. Rather read that they represent an aspect and a spirit of cherus, and so that's Mordechai, Mar Jurar cherus charas. Shebechinas Hatara benigla, that's Nigla Satara. Shebechinas Ayin ba'ayin, right, where you see it with your eyes. So that's Aymer, is Ayin Mar. You see it with your own eye. There's more Torah about this to say. We're not getting into this now. Ayin Mar. That's just off the page without any other elaboration. That's what the Rebbe says. Ayin Mar is Aymer Sa'irim. So that's the Bechina of Aymer. That's Mordechai. Sa'irim Zabachinas Esther, Baruch HaKodesh. This is the aspect of the Holy Spirit of Esther. This is Sa'irim. How do we know? Kamashikasa, the pasuk says, Dvarim Lamed Beis, Leiv, right? Because it has to come from the heart. As we're seeing, the whole Ruach comes from the Leiv. So Devarim Perek Lamed Beis, the pasuk says, "Kisi'irim ala desha," like wind-blown rains on the desha, on the vegetation, on the grass, and so you see Se'irim is a lashon of ruach, right? Se'irim. So we already learned in Torah, Ches Rebbe Nachman switched out the sin of Sa'ir, right? That Esav is a Ish Sa'ir with a Samach, and that became a Ruach Sa'ara, right? But if you see over here, right, that Se'irim, even with the Samach, means wind-blown rains. Kisi'irim alei desha. It's an aspect of ruach, right? So Se'irim is a bechina of sa'irim. Oimer sa'irim. Sa'irim is the aspect of wind. Esther beruach hakodesh never. So Oimer is Mordechai. Se'irim, Oimer or Sa'irim is the bechina of Se'irim, which is wind, which is Esther. Ubishvil zekashabah Haman the Mordechai. When Haman came to Mordechai, Malsa Isaac ba'Oimer Sa'irim, he was busy learning about Oimer Sa'irim. Amalem, and he said, Oimer Sa'irim did chu. Your Amisarim, meaning I was under the impression that Moshe Rabbeinu was dead. Meaning I was under the impression that there's no force that could counteract this aspect of Lahashmid Laharag La'abed, which is Kloya, which is the aspect of Amalek that attacks the stragglers and says you're finished. There's no hope. That's what it means. Kloya. You're completely and entirely destroyed. Kloya. And what I didn't know is that there's a Bechin of Aymer Sa'irim in the world. Aymer is Mordechai. Sa'irim is Esther, and you guys are the manifestation. If everybody can please mute on the chat when you join. So this is a bechina of Moshe Rabbeinu, and that's why I think the lashon that he uses is v'nitzach. Is we know that Moshe Rabbeinu is Midah, Aaron is Haid, Moshe Rabbeinu is Netzach. And he's saying you're Aymer Sa'irim, which is Mordechai and Esther, is Didchu Asi v'nitzach Aisai v'espanav. You are Netzach, meaning you are Moshe Rabbeinu. You are the manifestation of Moshe Rabbeinu in this world. Kamavur b'medrash, like it says in the Heilige Medrash, Kehal Yedidim Sa'irim shebuchinas Yadayim Raglayim. Through the Aymer Sa'irim, that the Aymer is Mordechai, Yadayim Nigle, and Sa'irim is the bechina of Esther, Nister. Yeah? Esther, Nister, because it's Nister of Torah, and the Bechina of Raglayim, Shebechinas Yadayim Raglayim, Shebechinas Amchas Kafri Kudam. A lot of clapping and dancing we have to do today, especially today, that there's so much Gezerah in the world, and there's so much uncertainty and instability, and Hashem Yishmar. We need to dance and clap as much as you can today. Mamish. That's what Rebbe Nachman said when he taught this lesson. He said our Gezerah is coming on Klal Yisrael, but Purim is coming, and Yidden will dance and clap, and through dancing and clapping will be about to the Gezerah. And then he went, and he revealed this whole glorious Torah lesson. We have to dance and clap a lot today, consciously, with understanding what is dancing, what is clapping. So through this Nisbat Avodah Salilim Shebechinas Haman, we know that Haman, like we said, made himself into an Avodah Zarah through his Gaiva, Bechinas Geyos, and that's exactly what Haman is. This is literally the essence of what Purim is. This is the celebration over the aspect of Amalek, which is really Gaiva, which is all about pushing HaKadosh Baruch Hu out of this world and saying, there's no HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's no Shechina, maybe there's Kutchabrichu, maybe there's some transcendent element of God, there's the letters Yud K, right, Ki Yad Al Kes Ka, but Ein Hashem Shalem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's energy doesn't come down to the lower realms of Vav Hey, of Isagel Ha'aretz. Only Yismuch HaShamayim. It's just the Yud and Hey, and that's in the realms above, but it doesn't come down below. There's no Bechin of Shechinte. He battles against the chosenness of the Jewish nation, the special mission of the Jewish nation. He battles against this, that Am Yisrael are the manifestation of the Shechina in the world. This is, he says, there's no Shechina, there's nothing. And that's why Kloya, he says, completely destroyed. There's no hope, because in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Shechina, this is the essential giloi of Yadayim and Raglayim, right? Of Nekud Aliyah, as we're going to see in the end of the Torah, probably not today. Nekud Aliyah and the Nekud Tachtoina. That's Kutchabrichu Shchinte. So Mordechai, what's the ikr thing of Amalek? We said is Esther, right? Ragleha Yardis Maves, the Raglayim of Esther, right? So therefore, his ikr thing is the Shechina. He's trying to be ikr the Shechina. Right? He cuts off the bris, zarka klap imalo. What's that aspect? Doesn't want a covenant with God. This is the whole thing of Amalek. What he doesn't know, I saw from my Rebbe or Tzvi Cheshen yesterday in a kuntris, the tzaddik writes over there, he says what he didn't know is that klaya is the same letters as Heichal. Heichal Hashem Hema. He didn't know that we are the Heichal. Heichal is Gematria, Aleph Daled Nun Yud, right? Which is the name for Malchus, which is the name for the Shechina. So in his klaya, he didn't realize that we are the Heichal. And in this emes that Esther is revealing, Megillas Esther, she's Megala the Hester, that in that place of Nister, and that place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is hidden, and that place where a person feels that they have no connection with Hashem, Hashem is mamish there. You turn the kloya into Heichal. And Achon, it is exactly right. It's the kli, it's the Heichal, within which comes the energy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the dying DJI flip camera, this fancy contraption that you plug it in and it survives. This is unbelievable. We are the Heichal. Exactly. Well, yes, in a holy way.
Wait, it's the same word switched, right? It's not that they're the same gematria, it's just the same word. Is that what? Sorry,
Yes.
I missed that.
Yes, Ram and Mar. Exactly.
Which way you want to
Exactly right. It's just which is up and which is down, and that's the Binah of Nahapachu. You just have to flip the Mar into Ram. You know, have to just flip it. Okay. Now you understand why Haman wanted to make an eitz kavaya. How much? 50 amas. Why 50? Because this is counteracting Sfira Sa'omer. What's the connection to Sfira Sa'omer? Because when do you count Sfira Sa'omer from? The Akrava, the bringing of the Omer Sa'ir. So he makes an Eitz Gavaya Chamishim Amma to battle the energy of Sfira Sa'omer, which is all about building Kalim, all about Malchus, all about constructing vessels in this world, which is the Bechina of Adanim in the Mishkan. Oh, Adanim, Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. Right, it's the Bechina of the Heichal, which the crushim go into the Adanim. So the Adanim is the Bechina of Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, Gematria Heichal, Gematria Kloya. Right, so this is what Haman wants to eradicate. He makes an Eitz Gavaya Chamishim Amma. Chamishim Amma, what's Chamishim Amma? Is the letter Nun. The letter Nun, going back to Torah Aleph, is Mamish Malchus. Right? The Ches and the Nun. The Ches is Chochmah. Rebbe Nachman said the Nun is Malchus. Lifnei Shemesh, Yinoin Shemai, says Rashi Loshen Malchus. The letter Nun is Malchus. And so he makes this Eitz Goyach Hamishim Amma to counteract the Nun. And I'll tell you a strange thing. It doesn't happen to me often. I woke up this morning. I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw two things. I saw Yadayim Moichichos and Yadayim Mecholos. These two words. Yadayim Mechichos and Yadayim Mecholos. Yadayim Mechichos is a Talmudic terminology that we use if something has like a proof. Like Yadayim Mechichos, you can see it. Yadayim Mechichos is something to like fingers that are pointing at something, to prove something. And Yadayim Mecholos are hands that are not pointing anywhere, they're joined with other hands. And I saw these two images in my dream. On the one hand, people arguing with each other and pointing fingers at each other, and the other was people whose hands are joined together. And this is the Nakuda of Yud and Mem is the 50, is this aspect of 50. And this ties into everything that we've been learning before about the Kav, the line, and the circle, the square and the circle. Yadayim B'chichais is people live in this energy of everybody's separate, and I'm using my hand to put, this is the truth. This is the truth, and it's all a kav. And everybody's yadayim mechichas, hands that are. I haven't thought about this terminology yadayim mechichas in years. It hasn't come up in anything that I've learned recently. Yeah, it's just a gift. Yadayim mechichas is a kav. Yadayim mechilas is when people link arms and they dance together, and the arms become part and parcel of joining into a circle, and they dance round and round. And this is also an aspect of mi and yam. Also, these two aspects, and a lot to think about. But ultimately, I just was reminded of that because of the Rosh Tevis of this Yadayim Mechichos or Yadayim Mecholos. The hands that are pointing or the hands that are circular is me, right? And that's Rosh Tevis Nun, and that's the aspect of the Nun Eitz Gavaya that Mordechai Haman wants to destroy the aspect of the circular energy of Emunah ve'emunascha sviva Secha. He doesn't want people to get together. He wants there to be an Am Echad Mefuzar Mefayrad with Kavim as opposed to Igulim, and the way that we counteract that is by dancing together and joining our Yadayim in dance and dancing in a Machal Emunascha sviva Secha, to be able to bring down into the world this energy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's faith, and to stamp out the period that Haman tries to cause by Leich Knois Kal HaYehudim and turning the Kav into an eagle, and the hands that are pointing at each other into hands that are connecting with each other and linking and dancing round and round. And that's the Bechina of this 50 Amma high a tree, this gallows that he builds, which is the letter Nun, Shiakal Shal Mordechai Esther. A little bit more, just Ian for prayer morning. Usually we just stay on the page, just telling you a little bit outside. How could you hold back? Huh?
He built it on the first day of the Omen. Because the Suda of Esther, the first one was the first night.
Whoa.
I think when it comes to the next day.
That's when he built the gallows. Pile ploy.
No,
He says that yeah, we have to check that out. I don't know. That sounds too good to be true. He's saying that she built the gallows. Haman built the gallows on the day of the hakrava of the Eimer Sa'ira. Right, and that's wild. That's an incredible thing. Okay, we'll look that up. Let's go back to the parish. Rabbi Bar Chana. We come to the Indian of the Rabbi Bar Chana, and he said, Amal Yahutaya. This Arab merchant told me the following thing: Tava achli blue de kairach. Come and I'll show you those that were swallowed up in the ground alongside kairach. Kairach ve'adase. Let me show you where they are. Asli, we went, the Chazai, Trey Bizay, we saw these two huge holes in the ground that have a nafik minau kitra. Smoke is coming out of it. Shakal Gvava da Amra, we took a bundle of wool, Umashri B'maya, we soaked it in water, right, to ostensibly counteract the energy of the heat, meaning to serve as some kind of foil or to see if how hot is this thing. And they soaked it in water, Va'anche Beresha, the Rumche, we popped it on the top of a spear, Va'aile Hasam, and we put it down into the holes. There's something very childlike about this. This is exactly what a 7-year-old would do. You see smoke coming out, it's like, let's find out what's in there, and find a long stick and put something on the edge and stick it in. They understood the mission. Va'aile hasam. This is what they did, and they put it inside the holes. V'chi apik, and when they took it out, the wool was all singed. Meaning, even though it had been full of water, but the fire was so strong as that it was singed. Amali, and he said to them, Atzis mashmayis. Listen carefully. What do you hear? V'shimis tavi amrin, and we heard them saying, Moshe v'terasei emes. Moshe and his Torah are true. V'hein badayin, and we are liars. Moshe and his Torah is true. V'hein badayin. Amali kol shloisha yomim mahadrei Gehenim lahacha. Every 30 days, Gehenim returns them to this place, kibasar v'kalachas, like a good shawarma is just turning around on a stick. Va'amri hachi, and this is what they announce: Moshe v'serasei emes v'hein badayin. This is their declaration. Let's see the Rashbam very quickly. Biz-Eis, B'Kayim, two huge valleys, two huge ditches in the ground. Desiviti Baka Adama. Kitra's Ashan, smoke was coming out of it, fumes. Shkal Gvava Da'am Lokach Gizas Semer Shroi B'Maya. We took a bundle of wool and we soaked it in water, V'Ichrach Ichruche, which means Hane Gvave, these woolen bundles. This is what we had, what were singed. And even though they had put it in water, it was still burnt. Atzis, he said, Haskis Ushma, listen carefully. Vishimis Tuka Amri, and we heard Shem Yardu Chaim Shoda. The Mamish, the Pasuk says, they went down, living to the depths. The Bechina of Rasham Afilu B'Chayayim, Kriya Mesim, right? They went down Chaim Shoda. Their whole life is death. Their whole life is death, and their death is life. Kol Shloshim Yoyim Kol Rish Chodesh B'Kalachas, right? Shemahapchim Osei Kadesh Yispashal, like this big pot where they turn the meat over on a spit in order that each side should be burnt, should be roasted. Okay, says the Heilige Rebbe Nachman. Taya is an Arab merchant, Sefer Yishmael. Okay, Blue de Kairach, says Rebbe Nachman. What does this mean? Kedis of a Madrash is part of the Madrash. Kairach min haya. Kairach represents this energy of Amalek. He was a min. He was an apikairis and a bechinas avodas alilim minos. But it was a very particular kind of avodah zarah. There was many people who served avodah zarah. It was a very particular kind of avodah zarah that manifested in Gaiva. Gaiva how? Against the tzaddikim, against Moshe and Aaron. That's exactly what that was. That's the whole Indian of Kairach. We saw these two aspects of holes in the ground that smoke is coming out of. What's that a symbol for? This is the aspect of the charoin af that it says calls man that avodah zarah ba'olam charoin af ba'olam. What's charoin af? There's two nostrils with smoke coming out of it. It says there it was simple. That's what it is. Calls man shabbat alida ba'olam charoin af ba'olam. Utrei bizei zebechinas trei nikvei af. Right, these two holes is the two nostrils out of which the charoin af is coming. Kairach causes charoin af. This is the aspect of the two holes and the smoke that's coming out of it. Sheyotze mehem ha'ashan. And this is where the smoke is coming out of it. Of Allah ashan ba'apai. Right, there was smoke that was in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's nose, again kiviyachol. Right, the charoin af. V'shakol gvava da'amra. So we took this wool and we put it, and we took this bundle of wool. What's the gvava da'amra? Sebachinas oimer. This is the aspect of Omer. Amra, right, is Amr. By the way, Amram, right, is connected to Moshe Rabbeinu, right, and Ben Amram, and that's the Bechina also of Amra is also connected. There's already an Omer by Moshe Rabbeinu also, but over here the Amra is a Bechinas Omer Kaniskala El. And what do we do with it? Huh?
You usually soak iron in water, just like they soak there.
Excellent. Okay, that's what we're getting to. That's the next line. And they soaked it in water. That's the aspect of SHIURIM. But he says it's slightly different than Geulah. Not that they would soak it, but this is the aspect of Esther, right? So Amra is Mordechai, Oimer, right? Which is Ayin Mar Drar, Cheres, Charas, right? Charas Alaluchas Nigla. That's Mordechai, Mar Drar, and Umashi B'Maya is a bechina of Esther. Well, also we said yesterday that how do we get out of the avodah zara of the raglayim? V'rachatzu ragleich, and they wash it in water. Water is the bechina of bittul ma'mayim yardim b'makam kavaya, and it goes down the makam namuch, right? And that's the bechina of mayim also. So it's only natural that they're going to be taking this a bechina, as it relates to fixing the pagam of koirach v'adasai, they're going to soak it in water. But that's the aspect of Esther, which is raglayim, ki raglayim himafike mayim. Because the feet are watery. They're a watery place. How do we know? Because the feet is the bechina of arvei nachal, which is water, like willows that grow on the banks of the water. What's shacharis? What's the connection between arvei nachal and feet, and willows and feet that grow by water? The feet of a person are guarantors for him. Meaning, if a person's nixer, a misa or something, his feet will take him there. The feet, and this is so deep. I'll tell you, I wish we had time to go into this in Ian. We don't, so I'm not even going to start. The feet are very deep. The feet are very deep. You have to understand that's the message of this whole Torah. What's up is down. What's down is up. That's the bechin of an hapachu. That which you thought is a groisa madrega the yadayim is niklas Torah. That's only it's high because it's reflecting in higher energy. That which is low, the bechin of the raglayim, those people who are finding the strength and the courage inside of themselves to get back up. The people who are finding the strength inside of themselves, never ever ever to give up. That's mamish, the highest are that's so strong up there, that's so high in Shemaim that it's able to shine down to the lowest place. That's the side of this whole Torah, like we learned to be mal of the tefillah from Mahar to Sada to Bayis, right? Which again is a physical descent, but it's a spiritual ascent, and that's why the Rebbe is using the word aliyah, even though physically it's a yerida. And this is the depth of this. The Gemara tells us the ragloid of Arnash Eden and Arvinle, but the raglayim are the lower part of the person, but they are most reflective of the anhag of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right, the anhag of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is dafki in the raglayim. The raglayim yardus maves, they need to reflect the highest, the most elevated aspect of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hashgacha is in the raglayim daika, because the lower the pit, the higher the light that needs to be able to shine down into it. We have a choice. It's 6:45. Should we stop and get 15 minutes to prepare for shacharis, or it's prayer morning and we should continue until shacharis? Okay, that was unanimous. So we carry on. Arvin zebechinas arvei nachal. Arvin is the aspect, because Arvin lay. So Arvin is the bechina of Arvei Nachal. And Nachal is water. And water is the bechina of Esther, is the bechina of SHIURIM. Arvin is the bechinas Arvei Nachal. This is the river flow. The willows of the river. Afike Mayim, right? Which are like by the brook of a water. Haina bechina. So basically, Mordechai ve'Esther. Gvav da Amra, Mashi b'Maya. Gvava da Amra, Mordechai, Oimer, Ayin Mar, Mardrar, etc. Gvava da Amra, Mashi b'Maya is the bechina of Esther. This is how they counteracted Koirach. So this is the aspect, Hana bechinas Mordechai ve'Esther, bechinas Yadayim v'Raglayim, bechinas Amchas Kaf v'Rikudim, dancing and clapping. Va'ancha bereisha the rumcha, and we put it at the tip of the spear. Says Rebbe Nachman, it's a similar drasha that we had in Torah Ches, Roy Mach da Ruach Mem. Ruach Mem, Rumcha, the Roimach, the spear is Ruach Mem, Roimach. Right, the letters Ruach Mem. Shehu me'arba ruchais b'ay haruach. This is the fourfold Ruach, that the Ruach comes from the four sides, and that's connected to what we had learned. I'm forgetting, was it in Torah Zion, that in order to have Emunah, which is circular, you need to have it grounded in Emes. And we learned that in Torah Tess also. In order to have Isbodedus, you have to have 3 tefillas a day and Torah. It's always the balance. And so you have the Ruach, which is mamish the Ruach of the Emunah, of the Igulim, of the Tzaddik. But where does it come from? From the Arba, right? Which is the Mem, right? Which is the very square aspect. So you need both, right? You can only have Igulim through the Kav, right? And And this is very deep, and we've mentioned this a number of times already. So this is the Ruach Mem, the Igulim and the Yosher. Right? Shuhu me'arba ruchais by haruach. Sure, there's circular energy of ruach, of the nekuda of emuna, but it comes from me'arba ruchais. Ki amemu arba ruchais. This is the 40 or 4 sides from which the ruach comes forth. Shubechinas ruach atzadik. This is the ruach of the tzadik. That is shining and activating a person's hands and a person's feet with a spirit of anivas and a spirit of bittul and a spirit of emuna and a spirit of realizing that mamish, this world is God's world. Adelo yada, it's beyond what my brain is able to comprehend. The roish haroimach wa tzadik. The tzadik is the tip of the spear. The roish, right? Anche bereisha the rumcha. The roish is the tzadik. Ki memenu taitzas ruach. It's from the tzadik that the ruach goes forth. Kamashikasav isha ruach boy, like we said about the tzadik. We took it out and we saw that it was burned. Says the Rebbe, ichrach, even though it can mean burned or singed, is actually can mean lashon chayim v'arichas yamim. It could suggest long life. Like the Gemara says in Eruvin, like people say, lo yachich r'miyat seidai. A slothful, a lazy person will not be able to roast his catch, meaning he won't live it out. He won't live long enough to be able to see. And the lashon of here is lo yachroich. All right, la yachrech in that context means to live long, right? So yachrech could be a definition of an extended life. Lo yichya, lo yarech. It's like a mixture of the words yichya and yarech. Lo yachrech, right? Ichruch is a mixture of a long life. Yarech and yichya. All right, lo yichya, lo yarech. V'hainu v'ichrach ichruche. Lashon chayim v'arichas yamim. This caused a long life. Kehal Yedidim bittul gaiva. Because when a person gets gaiva out of the way, what was the part of the body that was most negatively or adversely impacted when there's gaiva in a person? Oisi shikaltem. Who said that? Yaakov Avinu. What was the bechin of Yaakov Avinu? Yaakov is not in this context. So it's true, but not here. We learned it yesterday. Huh? No. Chochmah, the seichel, remember? Yaakov Avinu says, Oisi shikaltem, because Kolam is Geulah Chochmah mistalekas mimenu. That was Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov is Yaakoveni is Chachmeni, and Avinu is Av, we said is the letter Yud, and the letter Yud is Chochmah. Right? Gotta do Chazar already. So this is the aspect of Yaakov Avinu, the seichel. But through bittul gaiva, this is going to rectify a person's chochmah. We said the person is not going to be delusional. They see life for what it is. They see themselves for who they are. They see everyone else for who they are. If you bring chochmah into your life, which is the aspect of the opposite of gaiva, so then you're going to live a very long time. So Mamela, now that they stuck into the charoin af of the blue kairach that was avodas alilim of gaiva that caused charoin af in the world, and they put together the oimer, the SHIURIM. They put together the bechina of shakol gvava the amra and amashi b'maya, which is Mordechai and Esther, which is Yadayim and Raglayim and Nikla and Nister. And they stuck it inside the charoin af. It reminded me of COVID a little bit with the Q-tip swabs. Some deep tikkunim. I'm telling you, Hashem is running His world in ways that are so beyond us. It's absolutely unbelievable. You can give out. What do we know? We don't know. We don't know anything. Maybe mamash don't know anything. Through this nekuda of Gvava da Amra and Mashi B'maya, of the Yadayim or Aglaim of Esther, which is Va'an Cheberisha the Rumcha, which is the Ruach Mem of the Tzadim. Arba Ruach is Boy HaRuach. This was so deeply misakin Kairach, that was the Indian of Gaiva, that Oisi Shikaltim, like we learned from Yaakov Avinu, that the Seichel was gone, that Afkina Ve'ichrach Ichruche. It brought the Seichel back, HaChachma Techaya Esbala. It brought Chaim back to a person. This causes a tremendous amount of a long life for a person. And then we finish off. He said, listen carefully. What are they saying? They're saying that Moshe is true and his Torah is true. Of course, they're going to make a reference here to Moshe and his Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu is the collectivity of Mordechai and Esther. Right? That was Moshe, who's Gematria Charein Af, because Moshe Rabbeinu, his whole energy is to counteract Kairach, and in the end, who wins over Kairach? Moshe, right? In the pasuk. This is the whole inyan of Moshe Rabbeinu counteracting the gaiva of Kairach. And where does Moshe Rabbeinu get his energy from? his Torah, because the Torah again is niglanis or lamed and beis. So Moshe emes, v'sayrasa emes, shehi moiden ala emes. Kikish shkar v'atzma la tzaddik delikav mehem ruach niskala el. When a person draws close to the tzaddik, in order to allow the ruach of the tzaddik to fill that person's heart, which is a ruach of humility and a ruach of emunah and a ruach of joy and a ruach of vitality and vibrancy and never giving up hope. Agidez and nishbar agayva v'vedis elilim. The guy was removed, and here the Rebbe says what I think is the most shocking thing, because over here in the next line, you literally see the coming together of the Nekud Aliyana and the Nekud Tachtayna, like we said in Tarvav, where the Aleph is really not really an Aleph, it's just a Vav and a low and a point. And the point is either below or above, right? And that's the Aleph is a freeze frame of the process, and then the top point immediately becomes the low point to the next Aleph, and there's just another Vav, and the next Aleph, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. That was the side that we learned over there. That's the unification between Moshe and Yeshua, the unification between Ratzeh and Shaiv, Aye and Malay, Mar and Ram. It's all one. It's mamish one. It says the Rebbe, Va'az makir nafilu elu she'mi sitra demaisa as gedulas habayis baruch shemai. It's a shocking thing. You were just misaking these people ostensibly through the hasaga of Ayim Mekayim Kavayda, because they were Bali Gaiba and they needed to be told, Emesak Shemayim, then Sham Ata, you're nowhere close, and you needed to be fix them with the ruach of the tzaddik that's reaching them on the Yadayim. And then you know what happens then? Immediately, the tzaddik is giving them shoiv. Because how do you think a person's going to feel when you push them down? It's unbelievable depth. We set it out as if there are two tikkunim. There's a tikkun of Yadayim. That's the bechina of in Taravav of the Nekuda Eliyoin of the Aleph of a person who's falling into the Gaiva of Ram, where they feel like I've reached the plateau, I'm there already, I'm a tzaddik, I don't have to go to tzaddikim to daven, I can do it myself. Right? Now, how do you counteract that? The ruach of the tzaddik that reaches the yadayim and that pulls the person back and says, "Listen, brother, you're sweet, but I am mekayim kavoda. You've not done anything yet. It's infinite. You haven't gotten anywhere. It's infinite. The whole life is a long journey. You never got anywhere yet." And then, in order to counteract the other pagam of the mar of Amalek, which is in the raglayim, so then Adrabah, the tzaddik has to tell a person, Hashem is with you, Malach al-Arz kavoda, and Nibatzia Shali Neka. But the Rebbe is being ma'or over here that the minute that the tzaddik rectifies the nekud al-yoina of the rum of this person, of the gaiva, the person immediately can also fall into yish. Because all of a sudden, again, what do you think that experience is like? All of a sudden seeing that a person never started in the Avodas Hashem? So the tzaddik is at the same time giving him, it's the bechina of the Gemara that says, smol doichi min mikarebes. It's got to be both. At the very, very same time, I heard in the name of Rav Matasyahu Solomon Zatzal that he said this is the aspect of how do you turn a person around, right? You hold one side of them and pull them close, and the other side you push them away, and then you turn them around. Right? So you want to transform people, you pull and you push, right? It's got to be the pull and the push together. Says the Rebbe, va'az, meaning the minute that you break their gaiva through the nekud al yoina, it becomes the nekud tachtayna. You see how deep this is? This is itself tarava. In the nekud al yoina, va'az makirin, and then they recognize afilu elu shei misitra demaisa as gedulas habayis baruch shemai, because it's revealed in their life that kavalt, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is still with me, and there's still room for me, and there's still reason for me to put effort into growing, and this is the connectivity between the nekud al and nekud tachtayna. Va'amrli kol tlas and yavim mahadriluhu gehenim lahach every 30 days. Gehenim returns them to this place. Va'amrahachi, and this is what they say. Moshe v'sarasa emes perish. Rabbeinu Shmuel the Rashbam says b'chol chaydash every month. Kikol davar yesh l'shayresh. Everything in this world has a spiritual root. V'shayresh hatshuva hu rosh chaydash. If everybody can please mute on the chat, thank you so much. The shayresh for tshuva is Rosh Chodesh. Keep Rosh Chodesh, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Bila Kapara. It says in the Gemara that every Rosh Chodesh Hashem says, bring upon me an atonement. Come on to Shadar Shachachim Nishkan Lebracha, the Gemara in Shavuos, and it's also Gemara in Yuma, I think. Mezebechinas tshuva. This is the aspect of tshuva. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu ask for a kapara, so to speak, to be brought for him? What did he do? Is because he was nismayet the levana. What's the Indian of miyat levana? Is exactly this. Miyat levana is the bechin of Amalek and the level of the raglayim, right? Is because the whole thing of miyat levana, right? What's the shining levana? Is Yeshua. Pnei Yeshua ke pnei levana. right? And that means that that's the light where HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's not the sun of the Nekud Aliyana, right? The Nekud Aliyana is the sun, Pnei Moshe Pnei Chama, that's that aspect. You would have to heard Torah Vav to really fully understand it, but one day, right? But the Nekuda Tachtoina is Yeshua is the Levana, and that's when the Levana is shining. What's the Bechina of Amalek operating in the Nekuda Tachtoina? Is the Hester, is the Kesa, Kesa the Yom Chagenu, is the covering over of the Levana, right? And that's the Inin of Miyat HaLevana, right? And Rosh Chodesh is when the moon is nisma'et. That's Amalek that's battling us on the level of giving up when we're in our katnus, when the moon is very, very thin. Not just the moon is very thin, you cannot see the moon at all. And then the moon gets steadily stronger until right now. Right, the 15th, the 14th, the 15th, the middle of the month of the month, in which Siyara B'Shlei Musa. All right, and that's the whole thing of Purim Daika on the Yud Daled and Tesvav, literally in the middle of the month when the Siyara is B'Shlei Musa. But a Rosh Chodesh is a bechina of when the moon is hidden, and that's the aspect of HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, please bring for me an atonement because I minimized the moon, I allowed there to be the illusion of Amalek in the world. V'zeh bechinas tshuva, and so all tshuva is rooted in Rosh Chodesh. And this tshuva echoes within, hopefully, every conscious heart of Rosh Chodesh. That's why we do Yom Kippur Katan, Erev Rosh Chodesh, because the whole day is about tshuva. That's why every month, B'chol Chodesh, Rebbe Nachman's Mechadish, he's speaking about Rosh Chodesh, not just B'chol Chodesh, an arbitrary, the 4th of the month. No, on Rosh Chodesh, because tshuva is Rosh Chodesh. Aval tshuva in a ma'alehem, but it doesn't work. Ki ikra tshuva yirak ba'olam hazeh. You can only do tshuva in this world. You can have all the regret that you want afterwards, but it's not going to work. But the tshuva in this world is operational. Ki mishet tarach b'erev Shabbos, hu yaichav b'Shabbos. A person is tarach b'erev Shabbos, that person will eat on Shabbos. Nimtza b'vada l'niftarim b'zal yidash e'mischartim amaydim midin gehanim. It doesn't work. Ve'al kei mahajalu gehanim. So they'll go back to Gehenim for their tikkun, and then they'll come back. Because it doesn't work. The Gehenim is on Rosh Chodesh is not like Shar Yamim. Says Rebbe Nachman, you know what the Gehenim of Rosh Chodesh is? It's just charata, is regret. And they feel the busha. Why should they have to feel the busha? Because what was Oisi Shikaltem that Yaakov Avinu said to them that you've messed me up? Who's me? Yaakov Avinu says the Seichel, right? Yaakov Avinu, and he says Oisi Shikaltem. What's the next two words in the pasuk? Yosef Einanu. Said Rebbe Nachman, what was the energy of Yosef Einanu? Yosef was the bechina of Asaf Alikimes Charpasi, right? That she was in a state of busha, and now Yosef, and now she's not in a state of busha. She's rectified. Yosef Einanu. Right? So Yosef Einanu means you don't have that aspect of fixing busha, meaning you're in a state of shame. And in order to rectify the state of shame, so umisbaishim, right? They feel the busha, zeba atzma gehanim shalem, v'zeo de diach mahadjul gehanim lahacha, gehanim returns them dynamasha mahadjul hu lahacha shachaizer mavaidim hu gehanim shalem. I really wish that we had another 10 minutes, we'd finish up, but we don't. And that's also the symptom of knowing the kav and the eagle. You know, you have to be rooted. The flame in the kol, they're mamish to the minute over here. You know, they are mamish. Even on Purim, the guy for 1 minute. Hashem should bless us with the flexibility and the rootedness. And Hashem should just bless us with every kind of goodness and every kind of simcha on this Purim. We should connect to the ruach of anivos. We should dance. We should clap. We should mamish be b'simcha today. And what a privilege to bring Purim into Shabbos. We should be zeicha to Ali Yeshuas, the pratis u'klalis. Asher kach. Thank you, Chabura. Thank you, Asher kach.